Trade restrictions. Trade. Trade occurs when companies produce goods and services for domestic and foreign markets. Exports are goods and services that are sold in foreign markets. They exit the country. Imports are goods and services that are bought from foreign producers. They enter or come into the country. Trade benefits both producers and consumers. Trade restrictions. In spite of the fact that producers and consumers benefit from trade, many nations put limits or restrictions on foreign trade. The main types of trade restrictions are tariffs, quotas, embargoes, licenses, standards, and subsidies. Types of trade restrictions. A tariff is a tax on goods imported from abroad. This makes the imported goods more expensive. It helps goods made by domestic producers sell at higher prices. The government gets the money that's collected from the tariff. Quota. A limit on the amount of goods that can be imported. Quotas create shortages, which allow domestic producers to raise their prices and increase their productivity because they have a limited amount of competition from foreign producers. Embargo. Stops exports or imports of a product or group of products to or from a certain country. More simply, an embargo stops trade in a particular market or with a particular country, usually for political reasons. Licenses. Sometimes countries require licenses to be able to import or export certain goods. This allows the country issuing the license to control the amount of trade that occurs and to keep domestic prices stable. For example, if the United States wants to limit the amount of imported fish that can be sold, they may only issue licenses to certain countries or companies to sell imported fish in the United States. Then that gives domestic producers of fish in the United States more control over the market. Standards. Laws and regulations that are used to restrict imports. Often, these laws address health and safety issues. The standards for imported goods are often higher than for goods that are produced domestically. That makes it more difficult for the foreign producers to compete and introduce goods in the American market. Subsidies. The government gives money to domestic producers to encourage exports. This may be money that allows them to increase their production, or it may be money that helps them sell their goods at a higher price. This allows production to increase and pricing to be more competitive. Subsidies are paid by the government from tax money that is collected from you and me, the citizens. What are the effects of trade restrictions? There's an overall reduction in the goods and services produced. Less efficient domestic producers are allowed to produce more, while more efficient foreign producers make less because they can sell less in the domestic market. With less production, fewer workers earn wages, and then they spend less money. Prices increase, which is usually the purpose of trade restrictions, to create higher prices for domestic producers. Trade limits imposed by one country usually lead to trade restrictions being imposed by competing countries, meaning if the United States imposes trade restrictions on Japanese electronics, then Japan is more likely to impose trade restrictions on certain U.S. goods. New or strategic industries are protected from competition. Producers in the protected industries benefit, but consumers pay higher prices and overall trade and production decrease. There's less competition, which also often means poorer quality goods are being produced. Free trade is often better than restricted trade over a long period of time, but most nations still restrict trade on certain goods and services. That's the end of the video on trade restrictions. Thanks for listening.